Most AI agents you see in demos are stuck in a loop of fragile prompt chaining. They describe, they debate, they wait for a human to click approve, and then they stall the moment the world moves faster than the chat transcript. That is not autonomy. It is a chatbot with extra steps. The thesis of this video is simple. Wire vision language models into system-level execution layers so your stack can interpret raw visual telemetry and commit actions through tight feed. Here is why prompt chains fail in production. First, you force pixels and UI state through conversational serialization, which adds latency and loses detail. Second, you pay for tokens that reconstruct structure that was already obvious in the frame. Third, the environment changes between hops, so your plan is stale before the tool call fires. Fourth, teams compensate by keeping humans in every branch, which caps throughput and pretends to be governance. Execution route architecture means decisions happen where actions are dispatched. Capture pipelines, encoders, policy heads, tool buses, and deterministic validators. Language remains valuable for goals, audits, and escalations, but it should not sit on the hot path of every reflex. When multimodal tokens, patch embeddings, fuse states, affordance maps, reach the same layers that authorize tools, you shrink the gap between seeing and doing. That is how you byte. Think in layers you can test independently. Ingest normalizes telemetry with back pressure and change detection, so you are not inferring on duplicate frames. Encode turns pixels into representations your runtime can score quickly. Fuse combines operator intent with state without bloating a chat envelope. Decide applies policies, spend caps, and confidence gates before anything irreversible. Execute dispatches schema-validated tool calls with I. This pseudo-pipeline is the shape teams actually implement when they get serious. Telemetry enters a buffer with diffs and rate limits. A vision language stack produces latents and optional discrete structure. A policy maps fuse state to tool intents, not paragraphs. Validators enforce allow lists and argument schemas before execution. Receipts and hashes feed audit, not chat tone. Escalation triggers when confidence drops, but the default path stays fast. Paste. Text-only reasoning forces the model to rebuild the world from descriptions that trail reality. For desktop automation, operations consoles, or anything with moving targets, the winning pattern is tensor in and policy out, with language reserved for goals and exceptions. Short frame stacks or event triggers catch loading states and motion that single screenshots erase. If your agent wakes up only after another model finishes narrating the scene, you have already lost. Speed is not vanity when agents perceive live environments. Slow loops amplify race conditions. Buttons move, inventories shift, users scroll. Fast loops keep observations aligned with the actions you evaluate. That is the difference between a brittle demo and a control system. Stripping perpetual human in the loop does not mean stripping accountability. It means replacing babysitting with envelopes, blast radius limits, automatic rollback, shadow mode for new policies, kill switches, and structured telemetry exports for incidents. Confidence heads flag out of distribution frames. Tool allow lists prevent creative misuse. Rate limits protect spend. Humans define the envelope. The system operates inside it. Auditors want traceability. Pick a numeric budget that matches your domain. 250 milliseconds is illustrative, not universal. Robotics may be stricter, batch workflows looser. The point is to measure end-to-end, capture, encode, policy, RPC, feedback, and to align software with what modern accelerators do best. Quantized vision stacks on edge GPUs, and premium SoCTKs in 2026 can own local reflexes, while larger models handle rare Operational maturity looks like instrumentation, not vibes. You want percentiles per layer, not a single wall clock guess. You want policy decisions logged as intents with confidence, not buried inside freeform answers. You want validators and rollback arms visible in the same tooling operators use for deploys. When something fails, you replay tensors and receipts instead of asking a human what they think the model meant. That culture is what makes autonomy commercial. Hardware trends in 2026 reward heterogeneous inference. Tiny policies co-located with sensors, regional models for periodic replanning, cloud for training and batch analytics. Your product story should assume sub-second sense and act paths on the hot loop, with cloud intelligence asynchronous unless you prove otherwise. Chip marketing about tops matters less than your measured pipeline. Optimize crops, quantization, and transport before you Zoom out from the hype cycle. The teams that win are not the ones with the longest system prompts. They are the ones that wire perception into execution, measure latency honestly, and ship envelopes that make autonomy safe enough to run without a human hovering over every branch. If you are still building chatbots that occasionally glance at an image, you are optimizing the wrong layer. I wrote a full architectural deep dive on multimodal agents, execution routes, telemetry first loops, and 2026 hardware assumptions. Read it on the Mansory Technologies blog at mansorytechnologies.com/blog/multimodal agents vision execution autonomy. Replace prompt chains on your hot path, add validators instead of permanent approvals, and profile your sense to act budget this week. See, commit, measure, ship.